All right. Welcome everyone to today's session again. Yeah. How was our day? How is everything going? As you are joining, just type your name and where you are joining from. Okay. So as you are joining, just type your name and where you are joining from while we await our speaker to join us. It's a rainy day today from Akure, Nigeria, and we are just going to manage what we have today. But then, we can't beat the weather, we can't challenge the weather, and we will just try to manage what we have on ground and see how we are going to push through. So let's wait for our speakers to join. But pending that time, type your name and where you are joining from. All right, so let's have more people join. Let's have more people join. Mary, thanks for joining. That's El Majodis Farm from Ogun State. Majodis Farm from Ogun State. All right, thank you, Mrs. Fajiri, for joining us today. It's nice seeing your face. How are
Good
you doing today, ma?
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Very well, thank you.
All right, so where I am, it's a bit raining. Currently on this
Even
call, on
here,
this line from Akure, Nigeria. Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
All right. So, welcome to this meeting today, and welcome Mary from Ogun
Thank
State.
you.
If you are joining, also tell us where you are joining from. Tell us where you are joining from. All right. I can see Enaibe Olajumoke. Good evening. I'm Enaibe Olajumoke. That's TTK Farms, Ikorodu, Lagos. All right. I think I've heard of TTK Farms in Ikorodu. Thank you for joining us today. Yes. All right. So I'm just going to take a brief summary of our last week event. So last week event, we were able to have our speakers come and talk about aquaculture value chains and the opportunities for youth in Africa. And one of the value chains mentioned is processing. So we have an expert today, which is Mrs. Ifedolapo Fajimi, the founder of Gracion Farms, today on with us to take on how can we process our fish, how to start the business successfully, what do you need to do, what type of mindset do you need to go into, can you start, what costs did you need to start it, can you start as a newbie, without having knowledge about fisheries before, or maybe as little as processing before, or maybe how to market your products. but she's yet to make justice to that. So I'm just going to hand over this to you now, so you can just start with us. Thank you, ma.
Okay, you're welcome again. Good afternoon, everyone, and it's my pleasure to be here. Trust
Good
the
afternoon, ma.
rain. Trust the rain did not disrupt. Okay, so without much ado, let's just. It's like I told my people. It's some of the things you probably hear, especially if you're not new in the fish processing business. They may not really be new hearing, but at the same time, let's just see how it goes. I want to believe you'll be able to pick one or two things. And for people that are planning to venture into processing, wow, I also want to believe that you will be able to pick one or two things. The topic is that I have, or that I was given, that I prepared with, was how to start a fish processing business successfully. So, as it were, we may not really be covering the nitty-gritty of processing. Yes, of course, because we're talking about processing, we'll mention processing. But then my focus is on processing as a business, especially as a successful business. Okay, so maybe I should just say something briefly about myself. Though I am an agri graduate, I studied agri-economics for my first degree and master's, but I never planned to practice agriculture, especially because I came from an agrarian family. My dad is also a crop scientist, and I just felt I've had enough of agri, and let me just do some other things. Fast forward, so it happened that I got married to a fish person. My husband studied fisheries and wildlife management from the University of Ibadan, from the same school. So I wanted to do something corporate, not agri related, despite the fact that I studied agri. And I went for what I wanted. So I was working in the bank back then. And of course, that means I was a banker married to a, and then the stuff was on. And sometimes in 2012, we went visiting, actually, went visiting a friend, a colleague, my husband's colleague. And then the woman we went to visit, we stumbled on her processing fish. And I tell you, it was really a fascinating sight for me. I was like, I never knew that, I knew, of course, I knew that people farm fish, but I never knew that they also themselves, I didn't know that fish processing was very close to me that much. And I got interested, and jokingly I told the woman, can I come into the business? She was like, wow, I should come. I'm like, hey, is it that easy? So I picked a few packs of products from her. I shared it to a few folks, my sisters, my friend, and all that. They should try it out if they're able to sell. They're able to sell, if they can get a market, that we can do business. And that was how I stumbled into fish processing work, as it were. Now, 2012, sorry, it was not able to, it was 2009. So 2009 till date, a journey that I just stumbled on. I have made a livelihood out of it, as it were. So now to our topic. Let me not waste our time. Please, like, how many minutes do I have to run this so that I know how to time myself?
All right, 45 minutes. 45 minutes.
45 minutes. Okay, so by my time is 4:09. That means by 4:50, 4:54 thereabouts.
Yes.
Anyway, okay, so that was just a summary, a brief summary of how I got into fish processing business. So now I'm here today to gist with you how you, either as a fresher or as someone that is in the business already, could really make your fish processing business a successful one. So now, my introduction. My definition here says that fish processing refers to the activities or processes associated with fish and fish products between the time it was caught, between the time it was cut or harvested and the time the final product is delivered to the customer. That's the definition according to Wikipedia. Processing refers to all the things you do to your fish between when it was either caught from the water body, natural water bodies, or harvested if it was farmed, to the time it gets to the customer. So that can give you an idea that processing is not just one activity and not just one thing. And of course, we all know, well, for the Christians that are here, or even not Christians, for those of us that believe in the story of creation, we know that fish was part of the early creatures on earth, as it were. And of course, for it to have dated that long, then you can imagine how old processing would be. You know, if fish could date as far back as creation, then imagine how old fish processing would be as a profession. Then, as I said, since fish is highly perishable, we know what our fresh fish looks like when you're just bringing it out from the water body, or most times when you're bringing out your fish, it's still alive, and when you're harvesting from your pond, it's still alive. So all the things that you do to the fish between the time you harvest it or you catch it till when it gets to the person that's going to eat it, that's your processing activity. So because fish is highly perishable, so a major concern, like the most important thing, is how to prevent spoilage in processing. That's the most important. And you know, statistics have it that post-harvesting losses for fish is quite high, especially in this side of the world, in the developing countries. Post-harvesting losses, that means the amount of fish people lose from after the fish has been harvested, not while it was still in the water, not while it was still being raised in the pond. So, and what it means, post-harvesting loss could also mean a way people lose their monies. You know, like you're losing your money, what you have worked for, and there's nothing you can do about it. So now, I categorize fish processing into two. Now, because of the way, now literature has it that some fish species will start spoiling, deteriorating 30 minutes after they die. Some maybe they can manage like 1 hour, 2 hours, thereabouts. So what it means is that when you catch your fish or when you harvest it from the pond, you must have known what you want to do to that fish, because you cannot leave it out of its natural habitat for a long time. If not, you will lose it. It will go bad. And that's why processing is very, very important, because remember I said all you do to your fish after you have brought it out from the water is. Can you still hear me? Okay. You must have determined what you want to do to the fish. Do you want to use it? Do you want to get it to the consumer fresh? Do you want to get it to the consumer in another way? Do you want to get it to the consumer while it's still alive? You must have decided what you want to do. Then, so going to the broad classification of processing, I have primary and secondary processing. I define primary processing as the basic type of processing that you do to prevent deterioration. That's to prevent the basic thing, what you need to do to that fish to make it not spoil, to make it not go bad. That's what I call primary processing. And your secondary processing will now be every other thing you do to that fish to improve the taste, to improve the appeal, to improve the acceptability, and to improve the form. Now, most of these things that I'm saying, that it's not like that textbook stuff. So please, in case an academia is here and you have anything against me, please just know that, you know, they are coined from experience, as it were, in this processing journey. So now let's get to business. I've given us at least an idea of what processing is. I've given us the broad classification. So I just needed to create that background so we have an idea of what we're talking about here. So now, to engage in a successful fish processing business, there's some checklists I want us to really look at. Now, if you are here and you have not started, you're just thinking of venturing into the fish processing business, it's a very good one for you. Because like I said, some of us, we got into the business without really planning, without really thinking about a whole lot of things. And now that's why now when we train, we try to give them a better, a better landing, as it were. Give the trainees, give the students a better, make their experience better than what we've had. And I think that's what most trainers would like to do, because you wouldn't want your protege to go through the same, challenges, go through the same issues you faced, or all the things you probably didn't know when you were starting out. You wouldn't want them to repeat the same errors. So now, the first thing that will determine if you're going to have a successful processing business is how well you are prepared and planned for that business. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't begin to think, oh, textbook this, textbook that. No, please. And I'm really serious. Over the years, I discovered and I come to the conclusion that for anybody that wants to start any business, there are a lot of things you need to do. And number one is to prepare and plan. Part of the planning you need to do is you need to decide, you need to ask yourself, since you are the one planning to go into the business, you need to ask yourself, what exactly do you want to do? I know it's processing, but then what type of processing? Don't forget that I told you that there are different types of processing. Of course, from the definition, you know that processing could be as small as freezing your fresh fish. It could be, well, let me not even say it's small, because freezing business is huge, is capital intensive. So it could be freezing, it could be just preserving it with ice to get to the consumer. It could be proper freezing, like a frozen fish. It could be the drying, maybe some drying, especially in parts of the country, of the world, where the temperature is so high. I know of some parts of the world in the Pacific regions where there's no dry. They air dry. It could be drying. So your drying could be either sun drying or cold drying. Then you may want to smoke dry, which is the type of processing that is really, really common in our side of the world, in Nigeria. A lot of people, when they say they're processing, just know that what they want to do is smoke drying. Or when they're talking about processing, just know that what they're talking about is smoke drying. So now, moving away from there, I was saying that the number one thing you need to decide is what you want to do, where you want to do it, how you want to do it, when, and for who. Now, these 5 questions, what, where, how, when, and for whom, answers basic business questions. What you want to do, that's the business, the precise thing. Is it that you want to start smoking catfish, or you want to start blast freezing fish, or you want to start doing only fish caught from the wild? That's, you don't want to do farmed fish. You want to do the likes of your other fish, like your egelso, your sole, all the other fish you can catch from the wild. Is that what you want to do? Then what, is it that you want to just have a processing center and be processing for people? You don't have the strength to start looking for who will buy what and who will not buy what. Yours is just, maybe your strength is just to stay in a place, you like giving attention to details, and you just want to process for people. That could be what you want to do. I'm happy that the value chain has been discussed at length before me, so you have an idea of what you can do. Because even in the processing part of the value chain, there are a lot of other things. There are things you can do. You don't have to do everything. So now, after you have really, really ascertained what you want to do, the next thing will be where, the location. Where do you want to be doing it? Is it in Lagos? Is it in Ibadan? Is it in Kwara? Is it in Port Harcourt? Is it in Abuja? Is it in Kano? Of course, what you want to do will determine your location to a good extent anyway, because your where will also answer questions of your nearness to your raw materials or your nearness to, maybe the infrastructure or whatever it is. So you really need to think about all the factors and decide where. How, part of which I've mentioned already when I was talking about what. How do you want to do it? Do you want to be processing for people alone? Do you want people to process for you and you will just be selling? Do you want to, just decide how you want to do your business. Just decide. It's your business, so you can also decide how you want to do it. Then when, as in what time are you starting? When? Because the time you want to start the business will determine how you should speed up on your preparation and all the other things you need to do. Then for whom? Now, this answers the questions of target markets. Who are the people that you're expecting will patronize? Some persons may say they only want to cater for the low income, part of the population. They only want to cater for maybe teachers, civil servants, and all. Some other persons may want to cater for hotels, restaurants, retail stores, and all. Some other persons may want to cater for only people abroad. Some other persons may want to cater for people that will resell, wholesalers that will now resell to smaller units. So such persons may want to say, I don't sell below 10 kg, I don't sell below 50 kg. I only sell to people that want to buy so quantity. And you need to decide who. There's this Yoruba saying that, the sky is wide enough for birds to fly. Only one person cannot feed even Ikorodu, where I am speaking from. Only one person cannot feed the whole of Ikorodu, let alone the whole of Lagos State, let alone the whole of Nigeria, and let alone Africa or the world. So you need to, out of the huge population, now Nigeria has been adjudged a fish consuming nation with about 44% of Nigerians being fish eaters. That 44% of about 200 million plus. Only one person cannot do that. So out of that 44%, you need to determine which set of people do I want to cater for, because all clarity on all of those things will really help you to really focus. Having said that, you need to really conduct your market research to really know, okay, you have decided that you want to cater for only hotels. How many hotels are within your reach? Are they sizable enough to give you the kind of revenue, that's the size of sales you're looking at making? By the time you're conducting your research, it will open your eyes to a lot of things, and then you can take a good decision. You have not even started the business, or you're just preparing and planning. Then it can help you to know the competitors in the business. You may be thinking, oh, nobody does it. You'll be very shocked that there are other people that do what you do. So you really need to know, okay, the people that have been doing it, what are they doing? What is it they are not doing? Maybe you could fit into that space, because that will be a gap, a business gap that you can fit in. Because economists will tell you that for a business to really be a business, to really, you have to be solving problems for it to be sustainable. It's not just what you start today and tomorrow you will not do anymore. There has to be a problem you're solving. So by the time you analyze what your competitors currently do, you may be able to find out what the gap, what they are not doing, then identify the gap. So from there, you may see if your business can fit into that gap. And that way you won't lack customers, because there's a need. I don't know if you get that. Then after that, in the course of still doing your research and your planning, if a lot of us, when they tell us to do business plan, we will say, no, what am I doing that I need business plan? Even if you don't want to do a robust plan, as in you don't want to do 3-pager, 5-pager, whatever pager. After all, maybe you say you're not asking for funding from anyone. You can do a 1-pager plan. There's this popular business plan that is called business model canvas, BMC. I have one that I could share, but then it's online. You find free copies online. You can download it. look at it critically. Is your thing, is your, you can use paper, I mean, you can use pencil to fill it. Just look at it. He identifies the different important parts of a business, like what is your business doing, who are your customers, what are the raw materials, who are the important stakeholders that you cannot do without in that meeting, I mean, in that business. You know, what products will your business be producing? You know, he helps you to think through your business, you know, in a jiffy, such that if you give the one page IBMC to someone, the person can understand what your business is about, you know, without you saying anything, because you have analyzed the business. It also helps you to think through what you really want to do as a business owner. Then the next thing, like I said, when I was talking about where you're going to site your business, part of the things that is important is proximity to raw materials. You don't want to be running out of stuff. It's just like someone that wants to process tomato. You want to process tomato, and you know that tomato is grown in the north. Now your processing factory is here in Lagos. For whatever reasons, you decided your factory is going to be here in Lagos. Have you factored how you'll be getting your raw materials direct, and you want to source materials directly from farmers in the north? Have you factored what extra cost that will, you know, bring to your business and all? So you really need to consider your proximity to raw materials. Then, you know, by now you have decided the type of processing you want to do, the scale and all. Then you also begin to think, how much will it cost me? You know, there's this saying that there's no person that wants to build a house without first trying to see how much it will cost, such that when you now start building, then your money will now finish midway. Then your enemies will now make jest of you. You know that kind of popular saying. You want to have an idea that, okay, now that I know what I want to do, I know where it will be, I know where I want to serve, like how much will it cost me to do this thing? Now, what you want to do will determine what it will cost you. Because there's some, like for example, now somebody that does not want to set up a processing facility, just want to be buying from somebody that is processing and be selling. Also, you are still in the processing business, but what you will require financially is someone that wants to set up the facility. You understand? So when you have an idea of what you want to do, it helps you to get an idea of what the financial implication is going to be. That's all I'll say for now about research and planning. Having done all that, the next thing I will advise is that you get trained. Yes, even though a lot of people will stumble into business without being trained, most of us that stumbled into business without being trained, you know, is along the line that will now be trying to patch, try to attend training here and there, try to do things, cover up so that the shame will not be too much. Try what you should have done. And you all will agree with me that there's nothing as good as a good start. If you're trained, there are some mistakes you will not make. You still make some, but there are some you will not make because you have been trained. So after having decided what exactly you want to do as someone in processing business, you need to get trained. Your training could even be as small as entrepreneurship training. But we all need to be trained. And the training is not even once. It's not a one-off training. You keep updating, but at least that basic training is very important. Training is the nucleus of success. It gives you opportunity to leverage on your trainer's experience. And the trainer, the person that is going to train you, more or less will become like an automatic mentor in most cases. You know, so training is very important. Very, very important and cannot be overstated. But please, by all means, if you want to get into processing, please get trained. Don't be like some of us that felt, okay, yeah, it should be because I've been paid employment for so and so number of years, I've managed this, I've managed that, I should be able to do it. Is it not to just kill it, fold it, and put it in the oven? Please get trained. That's what I would say. Then the next thing I'm going to talk about is your location. If you decide you want to own a processing facility, please, you need to choose one that is easily accessible for supply of your fresh fish and then for distribution. Then in the setting up of your facility, you need to know that now it also depends. I'll keep going back to the first point I mentioned, which is what you want to do and all. If this business is something you really want to do, that's you really want to do it. You're looking at making it big, starting small or whatever, and growing it. Then there's some things you need to get right. Fine, it may be that I know that in a Nigerian situation, because a lot of people are probably short of funds, maybe they are just freshly out of school, they don't have so much money, they want to start and grow. It's fine. But at least with the information, if you have this information at the back of your mind, even when you're starting small, whenever you need to set up, at least you have an idea of what you want to set up. Because a lot of people fall into the category of they have set up something. They have hustled to build a facility. Then by the time they're now getting to the level of certification, they now see that their facility cannot fly. So they have to maybe start rebuilding, doing all sorts of amendments here and there, and that may really cost a lot of money. So, but it's best that we know what we want from the onset, so that even if you don't have the money now, you can't afford it, but you know. So whenever you have any money, you know what you're looking at doing. Okay, so your facility must be accessible because there's no way you process and you will not bring in raw materials. So it has to be accessible, and then it has to be hygienic. The packaging and storage facilities, and it has to be compliant. So if you're looking at setting up your own facility, no, compliance is important, unless you don't want the business to grow. You just want it to be something by the side that you're just making small money from. So then the next thing I want to talk about is type of equipment. Now, there are a lot of equipment used in processing, in fish processing. Depending on what you want to do, like I said, in this part of the divide, what most of us do is smoke drying. And of course, that means you need a smoking clean. And smoking cleans are of different specifications and different sizes, They are different, depending on the make, there are different brands, there are different specifications. Some will say Firo's clean is the best. Some other ones will say this one is the best. I know that there are a lot of locally fabricated smoking clean around town, and there are imported ones too. So depending on your budgets, you can get a good quality one. So I know that some people will say a particular oven could get your fish processed in 8 hours. Some other ones will say this, some other ones say it's 3 days, some other one. But bottom line is that the performance of your smoking clean varies with the specification of the clean. But what you want to achieve, whether it's in 8 hours or in 3 days, what you want to achieve is a finished product that has good shelf life, that can last at a minimum of 6 months without spoilage, that can really be dry through and through. Okay, so the other equipment I want to talk about is, okay, for example, if you want to choose blast freezing, then that means you need a blast freezer, you need a storage, cold room for storage. Then you need, if you're for the drying guys, you may need a dehydrator, that you probably want to use to finish up your drying if after you have taken it out from the smoking clean. And some other persons just finish up in the smoking clean. Then you need, of course, you need your weighing scale, which are also in different specifications. There are the analogs, the digitals, and even the digitals, there are different types. There are the tabletops, they are the ones you put on the floor and all. Then you need your sealing machines, which is also in different specifications too. You have your regular impulse sealer that almost everybody has. Then you have your continuous band sealer, you have your vacuum sealers. There are different types. So depending on what you want to do and what you can afford, you need a sealer. Whatever happens, you need a sealer because you need to keep your product airtight after you have packaged it. Then if you're going to the blast freezer, I mentioned the blast freezer, you may need extra refrigerators and freezers and like that, some other smaller stuff like your knives. If you're into filleting, you may need a filleting knife. So depending on what aspect of processing you really want to specialize in. That will determine the equipment you need. So fast forward, then I also, the next thing I also want us to look at is the legal requirements. Like I said, it's almost rare now that you find people that will do business and business be big without being registered. I mean, it's difficult. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's becoming really, really rare. So the business has to be registered. And there are different levels of registration. The general one is registration with the government, which is the CAC registrations that we all know. A business has to be registered, because even currently in Nigeria, if your business is not registered, you can't open a business account. And if your business is really successful, there's no way you'll be trading, transacting without a bank account. I mean, in Nigeria of today. So even if not for any reason, you register because you need an account. So then what you want to do will determine the type of registration. There's the business name registration, there is the limited registration, and all other types. So those are the commonest. You need to register with CAC. Then there are other certifications that you need to do when it has to do with fish. NAFDAC registration. For a lot of us that like to put our product in retail stores, in supermarkets, there's no way you would do it without NAFDAC. Because in fact, the supermarkets will reject your product. So NAFDAC registration. And when you want to register with NAFDAC, they have the specification of how your facility needs to be built before they can approve it. So you see the reason why I said it's important you know ab initio. The same way with FDF. In fact, at the moment, the specification for NAFDAC and FDF, they are different. They are slightly different. So it's best you know the specification for the two and look for how you merge. There are some conditions that NAFDAC allows that FDF does not allow. So there are some that the two of them allow. So you need to know what the two of them allow, and then you'll be able to know how you plan yourself so that you will not default on the part of any of the two. Then part of the certification you also need as a processor is the HACCP, for hazard control. So you know that what you should be doing. So like I said, it's a whole lot of stuff. It's not just a one day, maybe I've done my training. Some of those trainings, you have to renew them. Even the certifications, that maybe after 2 years, first 2 years, NAFDAC could come and say, you want to renew your registration and all. So you need to be informed so that you know what you are getting into. Then you can tell yourself, do I really want to do this business, or I'm not ready? Then one important thing in processing is quality control and hygiene. Now, excuse me, it's advised that for every batch of production we make, you should keep a sample. For every batch of your production, I meant to keep a sample. So for your tests and checks and all of the other stuffs, it's important. So then you need to be sure, as a business owner, there has to be a system in place how you control your quality, because you have to be known as a brand. You have to know what quality you want to be known for, and for that quality to remain, there has to be a control process. So the quality control is important, your hygiene, your compliance, then sustainability, how you run the business. Like I said, it's not just about starting a business. 5 years, 3 years time, 10 years time, will this business still be alive with the way you are planning to run it, with the way you're currently doing your things? Will it still be alive? Will it be growing, or it would have died? So all those must be in our mind. Then food safety standards. If there's something that's called food safety standards, that the general standards that should be maintained as a processor. So we must comply with food safety standards, because a lot of people, you can't be sure who will eat your products. And you know a station whereby someone will eat your product and the person will run into trouble. You know a station where someone will eat your product and the person will run into trouble. So the standard food safety measures must be adhered to. Then, of course, comply with environmental regulations. Now, there are some locations that when you look at it, you may be thinking, this may not be suitable. For example, you have a processing location that there is no drainage, no way to discard your water and all. there's no way you will not run into trouble with your neighbors, and they will go and report you to the regulatory authorities. How you are causing nuisance in the area, how you are disturbing their peace and all. So you need to know that as processing your business, your facility, and the business itself must comply with environmental regulations. It's very, very important. And the next thing I want to talk about is packaging. Now, don't forget we're into processing. At least there's no way you take the fish after you have smoked your fish well prepared. You won't just pack it and go and give to customer. It has to be packaged. And packaging of different types. The commonest in this side of the divide is using nylon. That's packaging nylon. Even though the sustainability people will let us know that nylon is not sustainable because it's not degradable, and it takes tens of years for nylon to decay. So if you really, really want to practice sustainability in your business, if you want to do that processing business with sustainability in mind, then you should start thinking of what packaging material can I use, at least that is eco-friendly. You can use, some people are now using brown paper, laminated brown paper, carton, light carton, like all those thickness for drugs and all. Just be creative and look at, okay, fine. You want to use bowls and tell people, okay, if they use bowl, they can reuse it. So they will have to discard immediately. Just think of what sustainability measure, but your brand, definitely your product has to be packaged, and it has to be branded, because if it's not branded, there's no way we will identify it's yours. And of course, there are some laws guiding branding too. Typically, your branding maybe is as small as a sticker, or you're printing on the packaging product or something. At least it has to have your name, the name of the company that is that producing it or packaging it or distributing it. Then it has to have the name of the product. Then it has to have the weight, what the weight of the product. Then it has to contain the address, that's the location. Then it has to contain, and usually weight is net weight, not gross weight, net weight. Then for the it has to contain the ingredients, because some people may be allergic to some of the ingredients. So if you have the package, you can look at it, and if there's something you're allergic to, you can then just respectfully not consume it. So those are then the production date and expiry date, then the batch. It's very important for traceability. The batching is very important for traceability. Then, of course, as you grow in the business, you have to start thinking that your brand must stand out. What are the things you need to do that make your brand stand out? What is it that you want people to know your processing brand for? Grazian Farms now, we are known for having diverse range of fish products. So what do you want your brand to be known for? You have to start thinking and working in that line as you create your brand identity. You're coming out now, people probably don't know you. So as they begin to know you, what do you want them to know you for? Then the next thing I want to talk about is, even though you're starting small, you need to start thinking of diversification. Okay, maybe I'm just doing whole grills, the folded fish alone at the moment. What in the next 5 years? What more do I want to do? Is that the only thing I want to keep doing? But if that's the only thing you want to keep doing, that means there are a lot of people that will not eat from buying your products. Not because they don't like it, but because maybe they don't eat the folded catfish. Some people will tell you they don't even like the black color. So you need to start also thinking in that line, because the more you diversify, the more you'll be able to get more people to patronize you and then increase the revenue. Then the next and almost the most important thing is your pricing strategy. Your pricing strategy. And I will merge it with your business model. Pricing strategy. Okay, so now, definitely, all the story and everything is money matter. Now, how do you want there's something I noticed. A lot of people in processing, maybe people that stumble or people that probably not trained, or just you get to see people sometimes in this processing industry that when you see them do things, maybe when you see the price they place on their products, you just be wondering, are they sure they know what they are doing? Are they sure Are they sure they have captured their cost? I was once in that shoe. So that I used to have there's a colleague of mine, we're into processing business together. Then I believe that because I'm a producer, that my products should be price friendly. Let me not say cheap, it should be price friendly. So the woman will look at me and say, Tolapo, are you sure you are not making losses? Because she could not comprehend my pricing. She will look at me and say, Tolapo, are you sure you are not making losses with this price you are selling? Because you see, there is no secret. Everybody knows the price of catfish at the farm gate. Everybody knows what goes into making fresh catfish to become dry catfish. So how are you selling your own at this rate? How? What are you doing differently? When it's not like you are stealing the fish. I'll just tell her, don't worry, mama. Don't worry, I'm okay. When my eyes will be clear, I knew that I've just been doing the Christmas. I've not really been doing business. I've just been playing. So as a processor, some of us, we think because I want doing the processing by ourselves, so we can just put any price. You have to factor all your efforts, including the processing. You have to factor it. Even if you are the one doing it, you have to put the price as if you are not the one doing it. Because you need to, it's as good as you are giving your time. So what are you getting in return for your time? We need to know what our landing cost is. And that will help. That means we have factored the price of the fish, the transportation, the processing cost, and every other thing that goes into producing that fish. And then we arrive at a cost to say, okay, this is how much this thing came. Then, based on that, you cannot cut your margin. Business people will say your margin should be minimum of 30% because you're a food vendor. That some businesses that even do margin, maybe people in fashion and all of that, they do margin as high as 100. But you may not be able to do that because food is a basic necessity and people must eat. So you may not be able to do that high margin, but at least minimum. Because there are some other costs you have not factored. You have not factored salaries. You have not factored electricity, rent, all of those other ones. You have only factored your direct cost, which was directly involved in the production of that product. You have not factored the other costs that the business will have. So if there is no margin, how will the business run? That's why some people, when they sell, when they buy products, they don't have money to pay. They'll buy on credit. It's only after they've sold that they can return. Because the margin is almost not there. Please, as people in processing or planning to be in processing, please let's look for a way to trash this pricing issue. Your price has to be competitive and it has to be profitable, because if it's not profitable, it's not a business. It will be better to have registered as a not-for-profit. But because we are in business for profit, then it has to be profitable. It just has to be profitable. Then you have to, your pricing, you are not just cutting price because I want big money. You have to look at, you have to be able to be abreast of your costs and changes in your production matrices and all. Then after all the production and all, how do you distribute? How do you market? Because if you have produced beautiful products and there is no way to get it down to the consumers, I mean, it's going to be an issue. That means we cannot produce another. Or that means money is tied down. So we have to, based on what we are producing and the people we have identified as our target market, we need to also ask ourselves, where can we find them? If I have identified that I only want to be supplying supermarkets, where can I find supermarkets? My work is easy because I know the people I want to serve. If I want to serve the low income members of the community, I need to ask myself again, where can I find the low income people? So we need to distribute our product and we need to market. When we know where we'll find them, then we can now know how to reach them where they are. We know the people we want to serve. We know where we can find them. Then the next is to know how we can reach them. And that's what is called distribution channels, sales channels. How can you, through which medium? Now, a lot of people sell on social media. I do. Because the people that I want to reach, I know they are on social media. So, digital marketing, search engines and all, depending on who you want to reach. If you think the people you want to sell to are not on social media, then look for them wherever they are. So, You can do your local promotions, you can attend business exhibitions and fair, you can do digital marketing, e-commerce, online sales and all. Just whatever fits where your customers are. You are the one that knows where your customers are. Then the next thing I want to talk about, because I'm already it's almost time now. The next thing I want to talk about is, as you start this business, you'll be getting feedback. Even if you don't get, ask for it. If your customers don't want to give you, ask. And when they give you, work on it. Work on it. Don't just take it and keep it in the cooler. Feedback, it's possible that somebody will patronize you, have a review, whether good or bad, and not tell you. Someone like me, I may decide to, if I have a bad review about you, depending on who you had to me, if I just decide I don't have strength, I may just walk away. You just see that I'm not coming back to patronize you. But for some other persons, I may just decide to tell them and say, this, oh, I don't like it. This is why I experienced using your product, and this. So it depends. Even when your customers don't give you reviews, please ask them. And whatever it is, if there's a pain point, it helps you to get better, to work on their pain points to get better, and you win them. And if there is a good review, know that at least you're doing well in that area. You need to listen to our customers' feedback. So I used to, when initially when I wasn't processing myself, I was working with some processors. And one of the processors, the reason why I left her was because I had an issue with the product she processed for me. And I complained to her, and this woman insisted that nothing was wrong with the products. Now we are business friends, but I never told her that was the reason why I stopped processing with her. She just probably would notice I'm no longer processing with her. Because how can you process product for me and everything was bitter? And I was complaining. She was insisting nothing went wrong. So how am I expected to sell bitter fish? How am I expected to sell fish that is bitter, that you cannot even dash somebody? Even the people that we dash, they couldn't eat it. We had to convert everything to fish feed for use at the farm. So it's very important that we listen for feedback and act on it. Act on it is very, very important. Then in conclusion, please note these take homes that I want you to really take home. Prioritize quality. Prioritize quality, sustainability, and customer satisfaction, because we are in business because of the customer. Yes, we want to collect their money, but they have to be satisfied, because that's the only way they can come back. They have to be satisfied. And if your customer is satisfied, you'll be very amazed. In this business, I've enjoyed a lot of referrals from my customers just because they were satisfied. Then they'll tell somebody about it. That person will come, they will become satisfied, and they will tell another person, and we keep growing. But if your customer is not satisfied, they cannot tell someone else about you. And if at all they will tell somebody else about you, it will be something wrong. It will be in the negative, and you will not allow your business to grow. The next thing is keep proper records. A lot of us in the farming space, that is something very bad that we don't do. We don't keep records. We don't even know how much we spent on a particular set of production. We don't know what if you don't have your records, there's no way you can project. There's no way you can be scientific about your business. There's no way you can take decisions. There's no way you can say, oh, in July we sold so and so and so. Even Oyinbo that we depend on, because they have records, it's because they have data. That's why they are able to make projections and make predictions. Record, as small as a record keeping app. I know there are a lot of small apps that are free, or your sales register. Even if you don't want to do app, do your sales register. But now we are in the digital age. A small mobile app will not do any harm, even if you don't want to do the paid apps. Then be abreast of industry trends, the development, and your business numbers. If you keep your records very well, with the records you'll be able to generate your numbers, and then you'll be able to talk like someone that is in charge, like you really know the business and you know your numbers. I know some of us, we watch some pitch programs online, and you're wondering, how did these people know this? They know it because they put their mind at knowing it. We have to know our numbers. The second thing is that, the fourth thing, the third thing was to know your numbers. The fourth will be network, collaborate with others in your niche. Yes, they are probably your competitors, but no one person can feed everybody. So look for a way to network and collaborate. This business, you won't go very far if you will not collaborate. So I remember one of my competitors back then, she's still my competitor now. We were on a project together with the government. And she was really giving me a tough time, but I just look for a way to cope and manage. Then fast forward, do you know that it was true I got my very first smoking claim at almost no fee, at like 5% of the amount. True. And sincerely, I had every reason not to talk to her again in my life because she really frustrated me, even herself and her daughter. They really, really frustrated me. Seeing somebody that is just coming in, I was a new entrant, then like, look at this Morat. Well, she wants to come and share our customers and all. They really frustrated me. But I made up my mind I was not going to deal with them. Anything they like, they should do. I will still deal with them nicely. And it was through them that I got my very, very first smoking claim, almost free, at 5%. So you need to network. There's some, benefit that comes to you when you network. There's some knowledge you gain. Then the last thing I want to talk about is you have to push your brand. You have to be conscious of what you put into your brand. You need that brand identity. It's very important because that's whatever it is that people can tell about your business. It will take a long time for you to change it. So you have to be deliberate. You have to be conscious in building that brand. I think I'd like to stop here now. I think I overshoot my time by a few minutes. Thank you so much. Please feel free to ask questions if there are any.
Wow. Thank you very much, Ma. This is a very powerful session, very wonderful session. A lot of values as the comment has been going on. I can just mention some few things here. Who do your business cater for? Things to know. Do a business model canvas. We have research and planning is important. We have ensure you get trained and keep getting trained. Ensure your business have easy access to distribution channel and ensure you comply with hygienic measures. There are a lot. And thank you, Ayana Richard, for dropping a lot of comments from the value sessions on target market, search engine optimization, where you talked about after production, what next? You have to know how to market your brand. You have to know how to market your product to reach your target market. You have to know who your business is catering for exactly. You can't just start a business and say, okay, yeah, I'm creating a processing business and you just want to cover everybody. Have a niche down your market so that you can know whether it's the low class income people you want to sell to. Then how do you reach them? Things like this. So there's a question: where exactly should we measure success? Now, is it in the revenue you are making or in the growth of customers? Where exactly should we measure in the two parts? If it's the two parts, how? If it is just one, how? Is it in the revenue or in the number of customers growth?
Okay. Let me just say,
All right, so I think that's a network push out. I believe she'll be back now. All right, so yes, we have a lot has been said. You have to be abreast of your industry trends. You talked about, you watch pitching events and you are surprised. How do these people come about doing this? How? Because they get themselves exposed. You have to know what is in the industry. And when we are talking about know your numbers is that when you keep proper records, you'll be able to know your numbers. You'll be able to know, okay, how many inventory do we have at the beginning? What is the cost of starting up? What is the capital cost? And what is the operational cost? What is the revenue? What is the profit? How many people do you sell to? you have to be able to keep this record. You have to ensure that you have a book, even though there are a lot of apps that you can get your hands on record keeping. It is very, very important for the success of every business. Yes, very, very important. You have to lay your hands on record keeping. Know your numbers, in the sense that, if you want to attract further investment, other grants to your business, they will ask you for your numbers. What have you done this year? What is the capacity? What is the unit of production? How many people do your business serve? You must know how many customers are buying from you. How many did you retain? How many are referring your business? That is how to know if your business is sustainable, if your business is scalable. And fish processing business is scalable business, because you can have branches anywhere. You can create it here, go to another state, start another branch there. If you see that business is already moving in Lagos, go to Ibadan, open another place, reach people, expand your business, and have much more opportunities to scale. So yes, back to our question, Ma. Thank you for coming back.
Okay, sorry, the network just threw me out. Okay, so this question, it cannot be a straight line thing. You see,
All right.
success means different things to different people. Let's just get that straight. For some persons now, success could mean when they have 2 million naira. Some other persons, success could be 100 million. Some other persons, it could be $800 million. So you have, as a person, you have to determine what success means to you. The next will be what growth. Now, growth is also you can measure growth over a period. Let's say I'm starting today now. Maybe initially, I think by the time I now wanted to start fish processing officially, I think I used to do 30 kg fresh, in a month. Can you imagine? Just 30 kg of fish, or fresh fish, that I will sell for the whole of 1 month. But so for someone that is doing that, you can say growth is when you now see that maybe in the space of 2 months, you are now doing, instead of 30 kg you used to do, you are now doing 100, 200, 300. At least you know that you have moved from where you were to another good place. That's growth. Now, another thing you can, and growth is not only on net revenue, your growth could be on profits, your growth could be on cost reduction, your growth could be in asset acquisition. Your growth could be in, okay, now you were using a rented facility, now you have your own space. So growth is not only measured as in revenue, on revenue basis. You can measure your growth on a lot of parameters.
All right.
For some persons, they can make a lot of revenue and their cost is so high. But if they've been able to manage the costs, that's a level of growth. Because what it means is that they will have more money disposable. So I don't know if I've been able to answer that person's question.
All right. Thank you very much, Ma. These are questions that have been dropped before now. So we just have just two more. As little as what amount can be used to start processing business?
That's also a dicey question. The amount you need to start depends on what you want to do. When I was painting a scenario, I painted a lot of scenarios. So it depends on what you want to do. If you're planning to own your processing, excuse me, you're planning to own your own processing facility starting out, what you require is different from someone that just wants to start. Please, can I get water? That just want to start, then later establish the processing facility. If all you want to do is just to process and never own a processing facility, what you need is different from. So you have to really know what you want to do. And it's based on that you can now decide, even if you want to process, if you want to have a processing facility that will just be able to process just 100 kilo of fresh fish, what you will require is different from some persons. They want to have a processing facility that they will just put the oven at the back of their of their apartment or in their kitchen and do something. What that person will spend is different from somebody that wants to have a facility, as it were, a processing factory, a small factory. Okay, then I think I'm seeing a question here
True.
that for smoked fish, how do
Yes,
we ensure
that's the
carbon
last
deposit
question.
is low? Fine, good question. You see that in the export market, one of the reasons why Nigerian fish is rejected in some countries is because of the volume, the amount of carbon residue. And we know that carbon is from the fire we make. That's the soot from the charcoal or the firewood.
Yes, true, ma. True, ma.
Now, it's advised that now you see get to see some oven. Some oven, the charcoal chamber is not directly underneath the fish. Especially, I've seen Nispri oven is like that. Some Lagos State ovens are like that, and Firo oven is like that. It's either the charcoal chamber is at the back, for Nispri is at the back. For Lagos State, some are at the back, some are at the side. Then for Firo, they are at the sides. The idea is just the heat that will get to your fish, not necessarily the smoke, the fire. So that way your carbon will be reduced. Some other persons will say they use gas powered smoking clean, because your smoking clean has to be powered either with charcoal or with electricity or with gas. But some other school of thought has said smoking clean that is powered with gas, that the taste of the fish is not like that one with charcoal. You know that there is this taste that charcoal smoked fish or firewood smoked fish has, that makes
True.
it, makes it tasty and smell good. So I've had customers that will tell me, please don't use oven for my fish, use firewood. I'll be like, okay, ma. Okay, sir. So, but for you to, what you can do to reduce if the oven you use, the smoking clean you use, is the one that has the charcoal chamber directly underneath. Another thing you can do, you can find something flat, maybe like an iron tray or a piece of iron to cover it. So that way, the what's it called? The flame will not be going directly. It's just the heat that will be
Carbon.
going to your food. Yes, it will reduce the carbon. Then ensure that your charcoal is well charged before you introduce it into the smoking clean. If you want to make fire for your oven, you first make you bring out the charcoal chamber, you make your fire, you ensure that the coals are live, no smoke anymore. Then you can introduce the charcoal into the charcoal chamber, so that all those will help you reduce your carbon content.
All right, man. All right, man. That's very wonderful. Thank you for doing justice to those questions. Yes, I think that's all for today. Can you hear me, ma?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much.
All right. So, yes, ma.
All
So, what's your
right.
goodwill message for everyone listening today? Just need your goodwill
Goodwill
message to
message. I
tell
would
me.
rather say that it would be my joy that as many people as on this call as are interested to go into fish processing would really be encouraged to go and start preparation and planning. And that if there's anyone here that started wrongly, like myself too, it's not too late. If you really believe in this business, because let me not lie, there is money. If you do it right, you have the
Mm.
right volume, you have the right customers, you make money. Is one of the value chains in aquaculture that will give you good money.
All right, ma. Thank you very much, ma. Thank you.
And I okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Sorry,
you
there
now.
was a network. disruption. So please, I'll really be delighted to hear that a few people were inspired from this call to, give it all it takes. And there is funding. You can also get funded. So don't be discouraged. Even if you don't have all the money, you can start, but you know what you have in mind. And there are a lot of opportunity for young people, there are a lot of opportunities for women, in this space. So please just put your act together, know what you want to do, and then hit the ground running. Because even if you have not done so much and you want to get funded, the funders are interested in knowing that you really know what you want to do, and that if they give you the fund, it will be used for the right cause. So that's why you have to start, however small. And I'm rooting for you. I'll be glad to see the number of fish processors doing good business increase. And hopefully that will happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ifedolapo Fajimi, the founder of Gracian Farms. Thank you, ma. So after now, I'm going to share a profile and a contact list. If you need more explanation or you have more questions, you have consultations to make, I'm going to share it on the group so that you all can go back, fall back to, and even after now, I'm going to share this video because we are live on YouTube. So I'm going to share this video to the group chat so that you can fall back and start if you have missed any of the value sessions today. Thank you very much, Ma. Ayana Richard is saying thank you, and I believe everyone too is saying thank you. Thank you from
Thank you,
Pescademy. Thank you
Richard.
from
Thank you, everyone.
Aqua. Thank you, Ma.
You're
Bye.
welcome.
See you next week.
Bye.
See you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Bye.
Yes, Ma.
Yeah.